Please, in case you know anybody that dropped off the call, please, you can put it on the group. They should join back because where we are getting into now is a very important aspect of JavaScript. And if you do not get it, you don't get it. That's it. So please, we can't we need 100% attention right now from here. It's important. Now, moving on, we have we're going to talk about objects in as our next topic. So we'll talk about objects, right? Now, when we talk about objects basically describe a data or group of data or sets of data. So what am I saying? So an object is used to store related information about something in key pair values or key value pairs. Let me just use this as our definition here. I'll use that as our definition here. So again, an object is used to store related information about something in key value pairs. Now, what does this mean? This basically means that, for instance, let's take Mr. David as an example. So if I want to store certain things about Mr. David, right? What will I say? First of all, let's just say person first. But that person happens to go with Mr. David. First of all, I have to take his name. His name is what? David, right? So he's dark in complexion, right? He's dark, probably 5'8" or 5'9", right? Is it 5'9"? I don't know. Most of us don't know our height. But yeah, 5'9", let's say 5'9". Let's put that out. But you understand, that's like a normal distance. And then he uses a Dell laptop. That is information about Mr. David. You understand it now? That is basically what your objects are. Objects will now what? Store information related to a particular related to something else in key value pairs. Now, what does this basically mean? It's saying that what it allows you store information about this person. So, for instance, how do you write an object? Just the way you've been defining your variable since you have your what? Let. So I'm going to say person equals to what? Now, your object is not like your normal variables that you just define like this, or your what's the name? Arrays that you define like this. Your object is defined in curly braces, right? Curly braces, and then I can now have what the value that I want to what have. That's why they say key value pairs. I can now have what the values. Now, the first value of Mr. David, I need to store his name, isn't it? So I can have name David. Do you understand? Then there's a comma here. You move on to the next one. We can now have what complexion. We can now have what height. Sorry, dark rather. Then the next one is going to be what height. Then maybe let's say occupation instead. We can have, let's say, software developer. You understand? So now that's basically, these are the attributes of this person. Information about this person. As you can see, it was first of all stored in a curly braces, and then what now have the values. Now this is much more different to an array. When we talk about an array will just hold, array can just hold separate value, a lot of values. But that value is not might not actually be information about something or a person. That it can just be separate values that they don't really have any meaning or what is a significant meaning. But when we talk about objects, they are giving meaning concerning something. Now, have you asked yourself, how is it that people are able to log in or have an account on Facebook? Because most of all those things are being stored in an object. So, for instance, now I can have let user details equals to what? So we cannot have what? Username, empty strings. Can you see it? Then I think I made a mistake here. Okay, yeah, it's actually working well. User details. Oh, yeah, that's just a typo. User details. We cannot have what? Email. Email also has to be in a what? String. Then we can now also have password. Password as what? Also empty strings. You understand? Then we can now have what's the name? Let's say what's the last one? Phone number. Or let's just say number as okay. You cannot actually put number in this case. But I think we should not be putting password here. But let us also have a UID, a user ID, right? Also empty string. Now, what this means is that what each time a user inputs a details, what happens? It easily gets filled up. But it's going to get filled up. Now, you know what? Let's perform something. Now, let us say let details equals to what? Prompt enter username. Now, if I come right here and I can say username equals to username equals to details, right? Now, then we can say console.log user details. Now, let us check something out and let's see what we have. Now, in this place, if I refresh and I put enter username and I say Paul, follow. Now, as you can see, the username automatically got updated. You understand? Now, this is how it works. I did not go ahead to write my username here. No. What I just did that what I enter this particular prompt, and then if I have several users, if I put Paul, I will see Paul as my own username. If you put Kelvin, you see Kelvin as your own username. That is how, although there are more to all of this, but this is how things like this works generally. That's one thing about object. Object basically what helps you deal or store related information about something or about a person or about a user or about anything in general. Now, if you notice, this is what a related set of information. First is username, email, password. You already know that what you are trying to do here is to what? Store account information or authentication information in case someone is trying to log in. You understand it now? That is basically what your object is saying. Now, moving on to something much less complex than this. I was going to just use that to explain to us. So I'm going to just go back to the initial thing that I gave to us. So let person equals to David, complexion dark, and occupation sorted number. Now, if I go ahead now and I want to access the name of David, how will I access it? It's a question. How will I access it? So you can say person, your normal what's it? Is it curly bracket? Curly braces 0, Abby. Is that what you want to do? So let's say, I know this is what some people are thinking. Since if you want to do array, you do something like this. 0, Abby. So if you now want to do this thing, can I say console.log person, Abby? Then this 0. That's not it. But if you say console.log person, yes, all of your object data will come out. As you can see, so tell you this is what an object. That's a prototype object. So come on, but how do you now get all of these things? Now, your object, as I said, is not like your array. Your array is just holding multiple values. Your object is holding similar related values concerning a particular similar related information concerning something. That's what your object is. Now, for you to get the name of your object, we use something we call the dot notation, right? This dot notation will help you get that particular element. So I can now say person dot name. Now, after saying dot name and I check it out, what do I have? David. If I duplicate this and I say person dot complexion and person dot occupation, what do you have? We're going to have David dark and what sorted developer. That's what other gets the information of the particular object. Person dot name, person dot complexion, then occupation. Now that's basically how you get data in your object. I hope everybody understands what objects are. Is it clear? So as you can see, this basically defines the describes a person. That's what it's not, and object is not just for person. No, it's for what talking about things in general in JavaScript. And I've shown us how we can use objects to store user details when users are trying to what log into our website or register on our website. How everybody understands some of all of these things? Is it clear to us, please? All right. Now moving on to the next one, we also have something we call methods, which I'm going to explain after explaining functions. So let's go into functions. So let's talk about functions. What are functions? Again, everybody needs to understand this particular place because functions in my own in my own definition are actually the core aspect of JavaScript. Because everything about your JavaScript is helping you perform functions. Let me know which function. It's performing a task. For you to create that task, you need to what call a function, use a function to create that particular task. And that is what functions is used for. Functions will help you create tasks or certain tasks that you want to create. Now, how do you now work with functions? Now, one thing that you need to understand is, first of all, functions are used in performing specific tasks. Know this, and then you've plugged functions. Know this and you've plugged functions. Now, in functions, for you to use your function, you have to first of all define your keyword, your function keyword, right? Then the name of your function. Now, if I'm saying that, I want to create a function now, and the function is I want to make sure that this fan is blowing. First thing is to define your function keyword, and after that, I'm going to name that particular function something, which is what blowing breeze or blowing air, or whatever the name is, right? Now, let us say you want to create a function that calculates that just multiplies two numbers. I don't want to do mathematics. Let's create a function that multiplies two numbers. Now, how do we create such a function? To create such a function, you have your function, and then I cannot multiply numbers. Let's just multiply numbers. Then I'm going to have this parentheses and then what curly braces inside. Now, this is how you define your function. Right? You have your function keyword, what that function is doing, right? Now, this name can be anything. It does not have to be multiply function, but it has to mean something. Oh, this is what you are doing in this particular place. And then you're going to have your parentheses and then this curly brace. Now, it's not inside of this place that the argument or purpose of the function goes into. You understand? So now, let's say you want to multiply two numbers. How do you multiply it? So now, for instance, I'm going to have let A equals to 10. Let B equals 20. Now, let us multiply A and B together. How exactly do we aim at achieving that multiplication? I can say console.log A times B, right? So I already multiplied what A and B together. Then I can now come here and call out my function, multiply num. Now, if you check it out now, we've been able to multiply those two distances. So we have 200. Now that's what functions are. Now, functions in JavaScript is a block of code designed to perform a specific task. Now, the first is what it helps us to reuse code, helps us organize program, and helps us avoid repetition. Now, in this place that I already have A times B now, I don't know always have to go back and start doing A times B again in another place. All I have to do is reference the name of this function, and then it keeps working for me. Now, that is basically what functions will help you do. Again, Functions help you in what performing specific tasks. Now, how do you work with function? How do you define your function? First of all, declare your function keyword. Give your function a name, right? Perform the logic in the function, like we just did, and then what? Call out your function to invoke it. Now, if you give birth to a child, you name the child. After naming the child, let's not say you want to call the child to like do something for you. You call the child name, isn't it? Then give the child specific child so that I can do this for you. You understand? Now, if you want to check on, have you not know this? You have to call the child's name again. That is basically what your function is. Saying that what, first of all, you give the function a name, give it a task, and then what, call the function to what, bring out the results for you. That is why, if you notice, that was what I did here. First thing is to what? Define my function and give it a name. Give my function purpose, argument, or task, and then go ahead and what, call out my function here. If you do not call this out, it is never going to work. So as you can see, if you check it out now, I'm not going to have any result. It is not going to work if you do not give it this and this callback function. If you not, sorry, they call it calling out your function. If you do not call your function out, you will not be able to what, understand. You will not be able to what, get the value of whatever it is you've done. Now that is how functions work. Is it clear to us now? Any question? Any questions so far? You have a question? Eh? Okay. So far, so good, you understand. So now we'll go ahead and probably work on some examples again, probably functional examples, just like I'm trying to think of something. So but for now, let's just go ahead and write this out.